Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Okay, guys, we're back. Did you miss us? Because we missed you.
Rules?
There are no rules.
What rules?
This is a revolution, damn it!
You'll hear things you've never heard before.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and what can we tell you? We are the Other Alliance Guys, presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance, the United Wrestling Network, and various independents around the world. My name is Tim. This week I am Mr. Wrestling 1028. I am joined, as always, by my brothers in pod. This is Championship Wrestling from Jeremy. Jeremy, ask me about Amway. Don't ask him about Amway.
Got great career opportunities.
Scott,
we're only going up, okay? There's only one fucking way, and that's up.
Oh, my God, we lost Jeremy. What happened, Dave? I don't And our friend, our brother in pod, the fantasy booker extraordinaire, Dave Scooby. How are you doing, Davey?
Doing well.
You made some beautiful. Yeah. Is it hot down your well? Probably not.
It's not too bad. It was just crazy with the fireworks, but you up in Canada don't have to worry about the 4th of July stuff.
No, we have July 1st, 3 days before you guys. Canada Day, same difference. But yeah, it's bad for the dogs, right? Fireworks.
Oh yeah, they were barking like crazy.
There you go. Well, it's good to see you guys. I missed you guys last week. Dave, you made some very nice new intro videos for us. I can't get them to load today. I tried at work and I tried here at home. So here we are. We'll get them going for next week. But what are we talking about today, guys? We're talking about how far are we in? 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Let's give it 15 more seconds before we actually use the phrase, because there's something about the algorithm with YouTube. It kind of says in the first few minutes you shouldn't swear till maybe about the 4 o'clock mark and 2, 1, 4 minute mark. Fuck around and find out. The Mount Rushmore of FAFO. Who are the 4 toughest guys you would put, well, not even just the toughest, 4 guys that you wouldn't want to fuck around and find out on? I got some, Dave, Jeremy, everybody's got some. Some of them overlap. Some of them are going to surprise you. I know they surprised me. And Charlie Murphy. Charlie Murphy's not on that list, I don't think. Jeremy's going to talk about championship wrestling from, just championship wrestling from the UWN. I'm not sure if he's going to give us any spoilers or not, but we'll ask him. And Dave's got some fantasy booking to wrap up the next 90 minutes or so. When he looks at the life of Ravishing Rick Rude, what could have been? What could have been if Rick Rude had stayed with us? I'm excited to look at that one. So what do you say, guys? You want to jump into the FAFO?
Sure.
Fuck out and find out Mount Rushmore. This was Dave's idea. I'll let him go first, but this one up for Willie Bowen. It's a pie-per-view event featuring Tyrus.
Oh man.
Willie stays at home all week. I bet Willie's driving in his car and he goes, pie-per-view. That's funny. He just makes up stuff to throw at Tyrus all week long. We appreciate you. We appreciate you, Steve, everybody who's out there right now. All right, Dave, the biggest badasses in pro wrestling. Who are your top 4 that you'd put up on the Fuck Around and Find Out Mount Rushmore?
Well, first off, He's one of my favorite wrestlers. I actually met him back in 2000. That's where I met Dave Marquez as well, doing some World Legion wrestling before it was World League Wrestling when I lived in Springfield, Missouri. And we did, Harley brought in his group, and I met several of the guys, but I met the man himself and his wife BJ, who was she was a tough nut to crack as well. But Harley Race, I mean, what can you say about Harley that hasn't been said? I mean, a legit tough guy, no nonsense wrestler. I mean, he was a man's man, and it's one of these things that when he was young, he was involved in an accident, and they were going to amputate his leg. And the promoter ran in and said, "Do not amputate his leg. Save it. We'll do whatever." It's one of these things. He cannot lose his leg. If he would have lost his leg in that wreck, who knows what would have happened? People may not have been made. I mean, Ric Flair took the title from Harley, but it was a passing of the title. It was a passing of the torch. If Harley wasn't around, there's a lot of people that wouldn't be around today or be known for what they're known for. I mean, Trevor Murdoch was Trevor Rhodes back when he trained under Harley. Harley had worldwide, he was worldwide renowned, was known in Japan. He had connections everywhere, but he was a legit tough guy. And I mean, I used to sit there and watch him. He'd drink beers and he'd bend the bottle tops. He'd just bend them and then flip them off to the side. I saw him open bottles with his teeth. He was a man's man, but he was a legit tough guy. He knew how to work in the ring, but don't piss him off, because he would stretch you for all you're worth. And it's one of these things of, if push came to shove, he would get things taken care of. So, I mean, Harley is my number one of your fuck around and find out Mount Rushmore. But it's one of these things of the next guy, I would almost call him a protege, because wherever Harley was, this guy wasn't far behind. And he was also a king in the WWF at that time. And that's King Haku, or
the man
you may know him as Ming. Ming the Merciless. He was a legit badass. There's many stories of him just popping out guys' eyes out of their sockets, not wanting to mess with. But while he was in the ring, there's guys that said if you worked well with him, it was a whisper hit. That a hit from him was a graze on the chin. He knew how to make things look legit without actually hurting you. But it's one of these things of, I mean, he would take care of you in the ring, but if somebody tried something, he would put them in their place. Next is the big man that I got to see back in the late 70s in Kansas City, and that was Bruiser Brody.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy just scared the hell out of me. I mean, just the look in his eyes. I mean, he was one of these guys that wrestling, it's not going to be a, don't say wrestling's fake. Wrestling is predetermined. Right. And when he was in the ring, if you worked well with him, that was great. But he was a holy terror in the ring if he didn't like you. And one of Lex Luger's first big matches down in Florida, was a steel cage match against Bruiser Brody. And Brody was one of these guys that he was old school. He called it in the ring. Lex Luger was a bodybuilder who was transitioning into wrestling at that time. He wanted to, hey, let's work things out. Let's do this in the ring. Let's do this. So Brody decided to just, we're not going to call it in the ring. We're going to do things this way. I'm not going to do things. He no-sold big time when he first faced Luger. He just, once he got in the steel cage, he stopped. He got hit by Luger. He didn't respond. He just plopped his ass down and sat there and no-sold the whole match. And one of the funny things is, if you know about referees, the referee for this match was Bill Alfonso, who later made his name at ECW with the whistle blowing and the Rob Van Dam and all this. But it's one of these things that Lex Luger has done interviews and he's like, I didn't know what to do. I asked Bill what to do, and Bill's like, it's a cage match. Climb the hell out of the cage and just, it's one of these things that Bruiser Brody isn't one of these guys that you tell what to do. Or, hey, I have this suggestion. He's the boss when he's in the ring, and he is a legit badass. He was just a big guy, and I mean, if you watch some YouTube video of Bruiser Brody over in Japan, people would just sit in reverence of him. And then if he got out of the ring and he went into the crowd, they would just scatter. That, I mean, it was just, it's insane what he did in the short time he did wrestle. And unfortunately, his life did come to an end down in Puerto Rico. But he's one of my top 4 fuck around and find out wrestlers for Mount Rushmore. And last but not least, he's one of my favorite wrestlers. I've seen him several times, and I believe he's one of J. Cal's favorite wrestlers. He's from the California area, and his name is Samoa Joe. He's not your stereotypical buff bodybuilder, wrestler, I'm cut. No, he's just a big man with a plan. I mean, one of the best things I've ever seen is he's in a ring, his opponent, they're battling, he gets knocked down, his opponent goes to the top rope to try to jump on him, and as he's jumping, Joe just turns and moves away, and the guy just eats the mat like a pancake and just misses him. But it's one of these things, Joe is a meat and potatoes kind of guy. His wrestling style, he can wrestle, but he can also get down and dirty. And it's one of those things that his wrestling style, I believe, would fit anywhere from the 50s up until he's still wrestling now. It fits now. It just depends on who his opponent is. He can adjust on the fly to accommodate who he's wrestling and make them look good even in a loss. But you think about this. His name's Samoa Joe. Samoa, that just being called Samoa Joe. Samoa is the hard-headed, rough and tumble, skull-crushing, tough guys from previous eras, the Wild Samoans. And Joe is the part of just like a blue-collar kind of guy. So it's one of these things of, he is a no-nonsense wrestler, and I mean, it's one of these things that, in my opinion, Joe is one of those ultimate wrestlers that can fit in just about anywhere. I mean, he goes from TNA and X Division all the way to championships, tag teams, wherever he was needed, he would be, okay, put me where you need me. But he's one of those guys that in real life I would not mess with. just because, first off, he's a Samoan, and as nice a people as the Samoans are, do not get them angry and do not piss them off in any way at all. So there's my 4 Mount Rushmore for the FAMO, or not MO, FAFO. It's it's one of these things that there were so many guys that I'm like, well, what about Terry Funk?
Yeah.
But that was only a part of Terry Funk. Back in the day, Terry Funk was a legit wrestler. He only did the hardcore stuff when it was asked of him. And I mean, Terry Funk fits into so many categories. He does the hardcore stuff. He was a technical wrestler along with his dad and his brother.
Yeah.
But it's one of these things of, I went with the favorites that I enjoyed. And there's many more people out there that, I mean, like Brock Lesnar, would not mess with him at all. Yeah. I don't even think if he was in front of me smiling, I would say hi to him, just because he puts almost the fear of God in me.
Absolutely.
Just because of the way he looks. But these are my 4. I'd like to hear what you guys think, and people in the chat. I'm hoping that we can do this Mount Rushmore, and I got the idea from Dave LaGreca on Busted Open. He does his Mount Rushmore of these different wrestlers, and there's different types. And I mean, he does the technical wrestlers, the first loves, the hardcore wrestlers. So I mean, we'll be doing this off and on. Maybe the next couple of weeks we'll do this until we start watching some territories again. But those are my 4. Want to know what you guys think and hear who you guys picked.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, great names. There's so many names we can put on. I'm going to drag this guy into the middle here. Championship Wrestling from Jeremy. He's got some interesting, sweet picks. Who are your 4, buddy?
Okay, so my first one is obviously Harley. You can't. When it comes to wrestling legit badasses, it's the I believe it was the Waffle House incident sticks out in my head the most about Harley, where he gets stabbed and didn't even know it. And, so that's that right there. That's number 1. Now we're going to move on to number 2, which you found as a shocker. The Pope, Mr. Elijah Burke, former NWA television champion.
Yeah, I did.
That man has an astounding 98-1 win-loss record in the Jacksonville Tough Man competition scene.
Ooh.
And then in the amateur boxing scene in that area, went 103-1, with 102 of those as knockout.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was telling you backstage that in TNA they tweet around with and alluded to his boxing background and stuff, and he would come out and occasionally, and he'd have the robe on and doing the quick jabs and stuff and everything. But just somebody that flat out it with a win-loss record like that, that's an individual that you don't want to fuck around with. And also super laid back individual. As far as temperament and everything, on any given Sunday, very centered and level-headed individual. Those are the ones that you really got to worry about the most. I found in a lot of cases. We then go to my number 3, and this was a no-brainer for me. I was gonna go Ming, but I kind of figured that he was definitely going to be picked by one of you guys. So I went with Dan the Beast Severn.
Yeah.
That's one of the founding fathers of what we know now as the UFC and mixed martial arts. Just a certifiable brawler is the best way to put it. No real technique or like there's training and stuff there, but he's just going in there with one goal, and that's to get his win and whoop your ass. So that's, and the image of him coming out on WWF then television with the NWA world title and the UFC title, that right there,
the coolest.
the exactly the coolest, and just looking like Magnum TA and Magnum PI had a kid and then put it on anabolic steroids, and that was Dan Severn, standing there with those 2 title belts was the way I saw it. And then for my number 4, and I put him in there right next to Mr. Dan Severn, and that's Mick Foley, my sleeper. In high school, he was on the wrestling team. His dad was the wrestling coach, and Kevin Smith's gone on record as to say that I was better than him, but that's because his mind was elsewhere, but he was still really fucking good.
Yeah.
And then just the flat out amount of punishment that man can inflict on himself, allow to be inflicted on himself, and keep going.
17 chair shots to the head or something crazy like that. Off of the roof of his house, as Dude Love as a kid.
Off the roof of the cell.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the tip of the iceberg, really.
Yeah.
You get into his death matches over in Japan and stuff, and you really find out just how depraved that man would go to pop the crowd and entertain. I think that you would be hard fought to get him to lay a hand on anyone out of anger. But as with anybody, everybody's got a limit. Everybody's got a price.
Back in his first book, I have like 1 million wrestling books. I'm going to give them all away on this show over the next year. I swear to God I will. He wrote about how he had one of those death matches in Japan. It was either with Funk or Vader. I don't remember, one of those things. But he didn't get out of the ring in time. It was with Funk. He didn't get out of the ring, right? You know the story. Yeah. And he blew up in the, and he came home and his dad picked him up at the airport and, was in the car saying, like, it smells like pork in here. Like, what is that terrible burning smell? And he's like, it's me.
It's me. It's all me.
Yeah, man. Like, that's crazy, that shit. No, so those are great picks. Yeah. Hey, listen, Devin Dowling, Double D, Hardcore Holly, stood up to Brock Lesnar for breaking his neck. Fucked up the kid that shot on Kurt Angle. Yeah. He's got that edge to him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Samoa Joe, similar to Scoobs, also cut his promo on Scott Hall right in Kevin Nash's face. I remember that. That was the turning point, I think it was called, and that they got in a fight backstage about it, and Joe, I think if I remember correctly, that Scott Hall didn't show up that night, and supposed to be a tag match, and Joe just went to, Kevin Nash got really upset. Joe said he felt bad about it. He didn't know that it would go that way, but they got in a fist fight.
No. Scott just slapped the shit out of him twice.
Yeah.
And Joe just kind of stood there.
Yeah. Backstage?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, Joe just kind of stood there and was like, because it's Kevin Nash. That's you don't want to rock the boat like that. That man can make or break your career with one phone call.
Yeah, for sure. He picks
But-
Lesnar as a legit UFC heavyweight champion. And then Braun, and I think everybody knows this one, when Braun messed up that spot and Brock just gave him the receipt. Like it was just right there for everyone to see. And then he jokes, Bart God, dude won the Raw for all. But in actual fact, they pick JBL, known as a backstage bully, bunch of blue meanie out. Busted him open for talking smack online. Hey, we didn't say that they had to be likable,
Right.
And then he.
I debated Matt Riddle for a little bit, so that's how
Yeah, who handed JBL his ass? It was someone of smaller stature. What about a referee? I don't know. I have to look that one up. Like somebody who's not an announcer. It was an announcer. I'll think about that one.
Joey Styles.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Styles unbuckled his seatbelt and double-legged JBL from behind. Bradshaw hit the ground as Styles challenged Bradshaw to a fight. Bradshaw threw a wide hook, but Styles ducked and hit him. Bradshaw fell to the side seat on the plane.
Still, not likable, still tough as nails, though.
That speaks to Styles' toughness too, though. It just the shit that man had to put up with in the ECW locker rooms and everything, and Saw and everything. It takes a tough individual there too.
Yeah, 100%. I never heard that Styles story. My 4 could have included Harley. Look at that action. Look at those mutton chops, man.
Yeah.
Thing, eh?
Such good shit.
Such good shit, pal.
Such good shit, pal.
But it didn't because I knew David had picked him. My honorable mentions. Any one of these guys could be on anyone's list here. All the names we say are potential. Andre the Giant. Would you have fucked around with Andre the Giant?
No, God, no.
Nicest guy in the world, they say. Drink a 2-4 while being driven in the back of a van by Jake the Snake Roberts to a arena show and walk out of there. Like a guy whose mitts were so big he could just crush you with them. Dr. D. David Schultz, maybe not the world's greatest person, but punched out John Stossel. Right thing to do, in my opinion.
Mine too.
Gave him eardrum damage that wasn't real, but anyway, it doesn't matter. His career was over effectively for it, but just a mean edge, tough as nails. Don't call wrestling fake. Does that feel fake to you, you little shit, or whatever he said? Dick Murdoch, got to put in there. Dick Murdoch was just tough and mean and ornery and a bunch of other things.
Among other things.
Wahoo McDaniel that was telling the boys backstage when I was like 11 or 12. I saw Wahoo once when he came to Toronto, and my buddy Jeff, if you're out there, buddy, it's almost NFL pool time. I'm gonna win again this year, Jeffy. Anyway, he threw Jeff down the stairs. Jeff was like 12, 13 at most years old. Threw him down the stairs. He was going to wrestle Flair, and Jeff jumped up in his face because Jeff's crazy and said, Flair's going to kick your ass, Wahoo. And Wahoo grabbed him. He's a kid, remember, and said, maybe, but not by you, you little shit. And threw Jeff down on the concrete steps. And we all went, yeah, that's awesome. It was a different time. They punch out a kid. He's one of those guys who carried a gun because the crowd was crazy.
Because he possibly gets stabbed or shot himself.
That's right. I'm going to put this up. Yes. We'll make that happen, WB. Who else is on my... The Sheik? Look, the guy could just run into an arena, you better move, is all I'm saying. You got to move. He's crazy what he would do to you and everybody else around him. But my list, my four for the Mount Rushmore, I got to agree with Dave. The man called Ming, or Haku if you prefer. The airport incident. Don't get ahead of me, J-Cap. Where he bit a guy's nose off in a bar at an airport. And as Dave reminded me, poked out a guy's eye right out of his socket at one point. You don't mess with Ming. Universally considered to be the toughest guy in a locker room in pro wrestling. Just super nice. Didn't want to cross him. Brock Lesnar, as Dave mentioned earlier, and Jake Cal just mentioned in the chat. No, he didn't actually. He mentioned the next guy I'll talk about. Brock Lesnar, I mean, he started his wrestling career as a NCAA Division I national champion. And then, like his time in the UFC was, if you ever, like his stats don't look amazing, but if you ever saw Brock Lesnar in the UFC and you saw him fight some of the best fighters in the UFC and just dwarf them, just envelop them. And, just by sheer size. Remember said Joe Rogan when Lesnar would walk to the ring once, Joe Rogan was like, 1,000 years ago, the only time you ever saw people look like this was when they showed up in longboats at your shore and you ran in the opposite direction. He's got that look, man. He's 285. He's like, I don't know, 6'3", 6'4", something like that. And he has messed people up. Vader. This is the guy that, Leon White, Big Van Vader. This is a guy who tore Nick Foley's ear off accidentally. But that was the kind of match where he left Foley in Japan in a hangman's noose on the ropes. It was too tight, and they snapped his ear off. But Vader was a kind of guy who just threw bombs at you in the corner, and you better take it.
Yep.
And, former LA Rams, I don't think he played, but he was on the team for a divisional win, third-round draft pick. Yeah, about to say this one. He lost an eye and kept going throughout the match. Just pop it back in, baby. This was a guy that, like, Bret Hart thought, this guy's a danger to everyone around him, and he was a good enough guy, they say, that he took that kind of stuff personally and tried to pull back and improve. And Shawn Michaels wouldn't work with him, and it was just the kind of guy you'd want to avoid. And boo at the Rams. I agree, Rams suck. Fly Eagles fly. Anyway, and then lastly on my list, it's already been mentioned, is Dan the Beast Severn. This is a guy who had 43 years of age in the octagon. That's old for a fighter. He handed Forrest Griffin his first professional loss, and Forrest Griffin, who went too long in the octagon, was something else when he was younger. And Tank Abbott, he defeated Tank Abbott in the ring when Tank Abbott was somebody. Ken Shamrock, and what they call the worst UFC match in history. And a guy who also, not only just by endurance, but by mental acuity, was able to carry the NWA for years on a surprisingly tight schedule for what was going on at the time. Yeah. Also, a guy, I don't know if you guys knew this story, but he was an Olympic hopeful, and he didn't get the shot, and he was pissed off about not getting the treatment that he thought he should. And he credited his failure to get the final Olympic tryout that he wanted, or the if you wanted to call the one he had an Olympic tryout, the right kind of treatment, like the right look during his tryout. He credited his failure for getting in with motivating him to go into the UFC and working with aggression under like the Beast persona. And yeah, he was a shooter, brother. You know, we're not even going into guys that we could have like back in the day, like Luke Thez and the Gotches, yeah, guys you just wouldn't want to mess with. You know, I was looking online like earlier this week, just trying to make the creative juices flow. And one of the suggestions was Jose Gonzalez, and the guy who murdered Bruiser Brody. I'm like, nah. You know, yeah, okay. Badass
That's
enough.
a different kind of fuck to find out.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a completely different kind of fuck around and find out.
That's right, yeah.
That's the run they mouth and pull a gun on you kind of fuck around and find out.
That's right.
I ain't got time for it.
No, exactly. But yeah, Meng, Lesnar, Severn, Vader would be my four. There's so many other names. You know, we appreciate yours if you want to write them up there on the wall. Devin's were great, and yeah, that's a lot of fun, right? This is a great topic, Dave. We gotta credit Dave LaGreca, as you said, with that one. Okay, let's go into a segment now we like to call Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
Attention, everyone. One.
School is in session.
Oh boy, is this great!
Let me talk to you.
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
It's time for Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
As we get into the nitty-gritty, are there going to be any spoilers today?
No.
Okay. Just checking to see if I had to have the button up or
no. We started out flaming hot this week and then kind of cooled off there towards the end. We started off with Scorpio Sky facing off against Ray Jazz.
Oh, what a match.
My match of the week.
Yes.
This was the match of the week. These two were given 15 minutes for their match, and they utilized from bell to bell. Commentary did a great job of laying out Scorpio's accolades while shining a spotlight on Ray's successful amateur background and how he trained with the likes of Nunzio Little Guido and is a member of the full-blooded Italians as well.
Right.
They put together, or it was a well put together match from two great wrestling talents. There was spots towards the end where Ray had Scorpio's foot, and Scorpio kind of, at first I thought he was going to hit like an enziguri on him, but instead reversed it, snatched him up, and hit a fucking cutter that made me stand up and go, damn. It was pretty. I wrote down and I probably watched it a dozen or more times since then. Sky then went for a pin, but he only got the two. He began to pick Jazz up. Jazz hit a jawbreaker. This only fired Sky up, who hit a double stomp and then followed it up with the Ace of Spades tornado cutter for the win. After the match, Christian Cole spoke with Sky in the ring about being number one contender. But Sky instead took this opportunity first to call out Big Baby Slim for being, and I quote, a big baby bitch. He then went on to say that he was there to fight Slim or Danny and couldn't find them, so he picked a fight with Ray Jazz. He is in the UWN for one reason, and that is to cement his name as the greatest wrestler in UWN history. I believe he'll do it. We then go to Jordan Castle in the ring, and he's there to announce his talent, Maximilian. He said that Maxie is only Maximilian is not only victorious, but he can do it in under 5 minutes. Maxie, you might want to talk to a doctor about that. There's pills that they can give you. Castle and Max, though, are a great heel pairing and a throwback to the legendary heel manager duos. Max doesn't need anybody to interfere for him or speak for him or anything, but be an idiot not to accept it if somebody offered, right?
You think?
The match went for 4 minutes and 20 seconds, with Buddy being able to get him more offense than previous opponents of Maximilian, but not much more than them. Max locked in the Max Factor submission, which he locked on slightly different this week than he had previously been, and looked a lot fucking better. Looked a lot snugger, looked a lot more effective, and everything. Yeah. Great match. It was short and sweet, but it's pushing that Maximilian narrative along and setting him up for bigger and better down the road. I like what they're doing with this one. We then go to a returning EJ Sparks backstage with Mr. David Marquez. It's always nice to see Dave on screen, as well as EJ. He's happy to be back and ready to defend the UWN Heritage title. This, in turn, brought Daivari into frame. Daivari tells EJ how much he likes the title and asks to take a peek while grabbing for it. And EJ slapped Daivari's hand away, and then Daivari said he had some advice. And then he does the whole, you got a stain on, what's that on your shirt thing, nose boob? Really?
Jeremy?
No. I'm talking to Daivari here.
That's yeah.
I think what he said was, is next time you're going to do a thing, don't have mustard on your shirt, and then boop. But anyways, that led to a pull apart. So we'll see them in the upcoming weeks square off. It's nice to see Daivari in UWN. Daivari's a great talent.
He is. Love him. He's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Phenomenal. Fucking great. Ring mind. Just.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad to see him. We then get Lancaster and Redondo versing Delirium. Dolce de Cane. We finally get to see Delirium, Beef Candy, in action. And if I heard right, the creepy ass dude's name is Master Amir or Emil.
Oh, you finally got it.
I'm still the jury's still kind of out. Todd Keneally was saying it one way, and every time he would say it, there would be crowd noise and stuff. So it sounded kind of like Emil. When Christian Cole was saying it, again, there would be crowd noise a little bit, but he sounded kind of like Amir. So still kind of out on that, but we're narrowing it down. He's not just a creepy ass weird dude. But they're also announced as from the catacombs. Commentary then make mention of Delirium possibly being Beef Candy. Like, fucking really, guys? Really? It's Beef Candy, for God's sakes. I miss Beef Candy, damn it. Beef Candy.
100%.
Anyways, though, Lancaster and Redondo get the jump on Slade and Flex as soon as they got in the ring. The upper hand was short-lived as Delirium quick and easily gained control. It was interesting to see. It's interesting to see Slade and McCallion in a masked heel row. What I got? It's strange to see. It's interesting to see them in a masked heel row. That they come out and they bring they have a very bad intentions intensity to them.
Mm-hmm.
Very like quick, hard power moves and shit. It's fun to watch. We then get the UWN television title match between hysterical Shane Haste and Main Event Daniels. When Main Event Daniels came out, he looked like a Sunday school North Star for a living nativity scene. And then for some reason, ring announcer Jack Farmer wanted to test his vocal range, and he hit a really, really high note while saying hysterical Shane Haste, to the point that it gave Shane pause as he was getting ready to turn around. I was like, fucking hell, mate. It was interesting. After Daniels was announced, Todd Keneally made mention of Daniels looking like Patrick Starfish in that getup, and I couldn't unsee it, even after he took the getup off. But he surprised me in this match. There were a couple of times where Shane had him dead to rights, and Daniels was able to make the kick out. He's impressive talent. I'm again. It surprised me this week. Shane wore Daniels down again, and as Shane had him in his crosshairs, getting ready to set up for finisher, Bryce Saturn of the Entourage came out and grabbed the belt, and then got into the ring and was poised up to hit Shane. But before he could strike, Bad Dude Tito came out. This was followed by Damian Desire, who was almost immediately followed by Che Cabrera. So we're setting up. This is setting up a 6-man tag match between the Mighty Don't Kneel and the Entourage. I don't know if that'll be next week or what, but in the upcoming weeks, I'm sure we'll see that. I kind of expected some hinky shit like that was going to happen. That's why I said it started off hot and then kind of started cooling down a little bit. Overall, I'd give it a C+, B- maybe. First match was fucking just chef's kiss. Go back and watch it. It was really, really good. The Maximilian match, again, at 4 minutes and 20 seconds of your time. Treat yourself. The guy's he's something.
Yeah,
he's something. If you're not watching the UWN and all of its affiliated networks, well, I ain't either. But if you're not watching the UWN, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Like, are you smoking crack or something? You off your rocker? Watch good wrestling.
Why aren't you watching Memphis? I thank you.
Because at the moment they have a tag team on there called the Business Dogs. No.
Would you prefer a different tag team? Hashtag unstoppable. I won't do it.
Yes,
okay, I'm going to do it.
Look at
Come on, make this happen, Memphis. Make it happen.
You notice how they're a week apart? Even Memphis knows that. Even Destin knows that you can't have that much awkward in Memphis at one time. It's bound to create some sort of like time rift or some shit, man.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's just It's the opposite of whatever unstoppable force and immovable object is.
Yeah.
Shane Haste is really good. Yes, he is.
What would it be? An unbearable force and an insufferable object.
That's the banner. That's the new banner. I don't like the Maggie Simpson's Christmas outfit.
Oh my God. Oh, it is so true too. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That was horrible. He was so proud of it though. He came walking out there with the confidence of a fucking peacock on the prowl. Just Pepe Le Pew had nothing on him. It just such misplaced confidence.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Yes. Thank you again. Appreciate it. You are the best. Let me do this for a second. I just thought of it. MLP Resurrection. I saw MLP in Toronto like a month and a bit ago, and then they went to Montreal on just after your Independence Day down there. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July, by the way, for all of us up here. And just real quick, so like MLP did this card right here, which was it's centered around PCO and had the Good Brothers. And there was an NWA World's Title defense, which is what made me think of it. But real quick, there's Santino Marella is like an occasional part of MLP. So he comes out like in a commissioner capacity for like one night only. So he came out and after Stu Grayson, who suffered a loss the card before, defeated Sheldon Jean, I don't remember, by DQ. And then he restarted it, and they did a Dark Order, Stu Grayson and Evil Uno tag team match against Sheldon Jean and Bryce Hansen. And he won that, which is kind of cool. Hammerstone lost after the low blow against Ravenous Rohan Raja for the PWA Champions Grail. NWA World's Heavyweight Title defense on this card, as well as your NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Yes, Mighty Zaddies. Tom Latimer retained the title against Matt Cardona, the man who never lost the belt. It is difficult for me to find it online as to what the actual finish was, but it looked like it was clean. Tom Latimer gets no love as the NWA World's Champion in the MLP. No one cared. Like, the clips are like, you see like 3 people. I'm like, are you kidding me? I love Tom Latimer. What the hell's the problem with you people? Plus Matt Cardona, come on.
But
yeah,
we've been wanting to see Tom with Sweet Charlotte.
Yeah,
we started doing this.
Yeah,
since before that,
right?
You know,
yeah. It's a 6-man tag scramble. I won't bother. Good Brothers defeated the War Dogs, which was coming down the pipe for a show or two. Giselle Shaw retained the Women's Canadian Championship. She beat Shotzi Blackheart. It was actually Matt Cardona who interfered following up on an Indies battle that the two of them have going on. And he tweeted something afterwards like, I told that green-haired bitch to leave me alone. He's an interesting dude, Matt Cardona. And then Josh Alexander retained the MLP Canadian title over Ace Austin. MLP they're on Triller, as long as Triller's still around. I don't know what'll happen after that, but Triller doesn't sound like they're on their way out. Really good product, really energetic crowd. Highly recommend you guys go and watch it. But for now, if we can, let's go to a segment we call "I Respect You, Booker." I'm going to do this and put you over here. All and Dave, Jeremy gave you this one, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Rick Rude, what could have been if the Ravishing One had been with us?
Yes, the Ravishing One, Rick Rude, he passed away on April 20th, 1999 at the age of 40, an accidental drug overdose. If he had not suffered his career-ending back injury about 6 years earlier, he likely would have continued to be a major player in pro wrestling, potentially achieving even greater success than he had. Hopefully, if this would have happened, he would have held multiple world championships. He held championships, including the WCW International World Heavyweight Championship 3 times, the U.S. Heavyweight Championship 1 time, and the IC Championship in the WWF 1 time as well. If you know of Ravishing Rick Rude, you know he bounced back and forth between WCW and WWF. He had even time in ECW when he wasn't in the big two. In the WWF, he was known mainly for his feud with Jake Roberts.
Right.
And dealing with Jake Roberts' wife, having her airbrushed on his tights, Cheryl Roberts. But it's one of these things of the guy was only 40 years old when he passed. If he had gone another 5 to 7 years, he would have been going into a different era where the smaller men, granted, he wasn't small by any means, but he wasn't a giant. But if you look at the Attitude Era and, I mean, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, wrestlers that size, I mean, he would have fit right in. Think about Rick Rude as a possible corporate champion when they did the corporation.
Oh, yeah.
He would have fit right in. It's one of these things of he was gone way before his time. And I mean, going back to like the mid to late 80s, he was in WCW, JCP. He was part of the Dangerous Alliance. And down the line, he did show up in ECW, had some dealings with the franchise, first against him, and then he ended up joining forces with the franchise and the Triple Threat. But going back and looking, his in-ring career ended due to a career-threatening back injury in a match against Sting in Japan back in 1994. Now, the injury occurred when Sting performed a suicide dive, causing Rude to land awkwardly on the edge of a raised platform surrounding the ring. Now, Rude did finish the match and won the WCW International World Heavyweight Championship, but the damage that he did to his C4 and C5 vertebrae was irreversible, and that effectively ended his in-ring career. Now, his in-ring abilities and his charismatic personality, I mean, he was never really a face, but he made the best heel. It was one of these things of any major wrestling promotion that he was in, he was an asset, whether it was going against your champion to make them look better. But I mean, WCW, WWF, and ECW he had dealings with. If he wouldn't have passed in 99, think of what could have been him showing up in TNA, the early years, ROH. It's one of those things, I mean, even when he didn't wrestle, after he was done wrestling due to his injury in late 1997, he was one of the founding members of a stable known as G Generation X with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chyna. And on November 17th, 1997, in the midst of the Monday Night War, he was the only person to ever appear on both Raw, where he had a full beard and mustache, which was pre-recorded, and he was on Nitro with no beard, just a mustache, on the same night. Like I said, as that Raw was pre-recorded the week before. And in that 1 week's time, Rude had left for WCW. So it's one of these things of, if his career would have continued, an injury-free career, it would have allowed Rude to wrestle for many more years, possibly even up to 10. And I mean, That would have taken him into the early to mid 2000s. He would have had more world championship opportunities. He was just starting. Like I said, in WWF, if he would have been around during the time of Bret Hart, of Shawn Michaels, when they were champions right after going into the year 2000, I mean, some of those feuds, I mean, he would have been a great fit for, I mean, continue the feud with Sting if he wasn't injured. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. I mean, he was big enough. He could have had several runs as an IC champion. But it's one of these things that, I mean, his heel persona and his charisma in the Attitude Era, that would have been a perfect fit, like I said, for a corporate champion or a top heel alongside some of those others. Imagine, I could just imagine some of the, if he was there for being part of the corporation, that when WCW was brought in and they did the alliance, that he had more establishment of title runs in WCW. So I could have seen him pairing up with Paulie and the alliance on the WWF side. But like I said, I mean, I could see him going in to ROH if he was still alive and trying to put their pure title around his waist, because the guy was an established wrestler. He was one of the Robbinsdale, Minnesota wrestling family.
Yeah.
There's a good 10 to 15 wrestlers that came out of the Minnesota area. And I mean, he had the body. He had the moves. He was I believe always a heel. But I don't see him, I mean, like that picture right there. Him and Manny as tag champions in JCP.
Yeah.
That was just, I mean, it's incredible what he could have done by himself. And also, I mean, him as a tag partner to almost anybody would have upped their stock. But I mean, it's clear that this injury prevented him from reaching his full potential and even, I mean, getting more belts. That it's one of these things of, I could see him as a several-time IC champion, maybe even a transitional champion, depending on who was going after the belt in the WWF and WWE at that time. But if he would have survived, if he wouldn't have passed away, unfortunately, due to the drug overdose, the man could talk. Even though he couldn't wrestle, he would have been one hell of a manager or a quote-unquote advocate. He could have taken the Paulie Dangerously role and been brought in when some of the WCW new breed wrestlers were brought in, and he could have been a spokesperson for them to try to give them even more of a, I don't know, more of a grasp of what was expected of them in the WWE, because he had experience there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things of what could have been. I mean, you think about it now. There's wrestlers that are, I mean, they're in their prime right now, and they're over 40. He passed away at 40, and he had barely dipped his toe in the water of championships. That if he would have been around for another 5 to 7 years and then retired, I mean, looking at that picture, I mean, he's what a wrestler was back then.
That's right.
He's almost like the ultimate heel, but he didn't have to cheat to quote unquote be that heel. He was almost like Razor Ramon, the bad guy before the bad guy. He oozed machismo, but he wasn't a character. That was just him.
Right.
So it's what could have been. I mean, Jeremy, this was a great one. I mean, I could have seen him as a at least multiple time IC champion, and maybe at least a 1 or 2 time world champion, or at least a transitional champion to get the belt off of somebody and onto another person without a heel or a baby face having to lose face. But it's one of those things of what could have been. I mean, if you go back and watch some of his stuff, even from his days in Memphis, he was, in my opinion, the total package before Lex Luger.
Yeah.
He had it all.
He was captivating to me in the wrestling mags before I ever saw him on TV. And that's that world class photo, right? This is the world class champion. I love that belt. That's probably why. But I mean, like, who was this guy? Like, holy shit! Like just the physique on this dude. And then later on, as you said, I know you touched on it right here. Was this one here? Like, this was when I was, I don't know, 15, 16. This was the biggest thing on TV. Cheryl Roberts, Jake's wife on his tights. I mean, the airbrushing was just, I mean, that he had a flair before anybody else did.
Cerebral assassin before cerebral assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, great job, Dave. I think he would have gone far too. Yeah.
But I mean, if he would have, I mean, for all he did, if he wouldn't have been injured, imagine him in the WWF, WWE with all the guys that were in the Dangerous Alliance that ended up moving over to WWF. I mean, him and Stone Cold. I mean, him and Arn. Imagine that. I mean, they could have reformed the Dangerous Alliance, and that would have been something that was unseen in the days of WWF, WWE.
Yeah.
When you're the shining star of a group that has Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko as a tag team, and like where, I don't know, Steve Austin or Bobby Eaton's your mid-card wrestler in this group, like there isn't one, right? But that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're the star of a group with that much pedigree, you got something.
And,
100%. That's awesome, Dave. Great work.
Damn good.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Oh, thank you.
The only thing I wonder that might have held him back, and I don't know what you guys might think about this, but he was a bit flighty, right? Like he had a bit of a rep, I think, for like when he and Manny Fernandez, and I had this photo on my wall as a kid. I thought they were the coolest. I believe that he just walked out of the company, and there was probably some phantom title change with the Rock and Roll Express, and that was it. But they were the coolest tag team in the world.
I had always heard it attributed to the fact that he flat out knew his worth and wasn't going to be disrespected and shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks, Dave. Great as always. We have some comments here. Willie asks, "Where's Red Titus?" I think he's in ROH. But Devin says, "No, Tyrus hate him." Rick Rude, Double D says, "Would have been in TNA somehow."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Part of the main event Mafia, tag champs with Paintless Sting or something. And and Willie points out the Raging Bull and the Ravishing One were NWA World Tag Team Champions. And like, they shouldn't have worked either. Like, there was a Styles clash. It was a It was a presentation class, and they were awesome.
I think that's what made it work, though,
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah. But it's like seeing, like, just two guys, like, I don't know, like The Rock and Mick Foley. You're like, this isn't going to work. Yeah, it's going to work.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway. Well, guys, let's get out of here. Let's call it a day. We thank everybody for being here. And that's it. That's all. Until next time, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.
Wait a minute. 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 It's been a couple of weeks and I forgot something. How can they find you on the social media platforms, fellas? How about you, Jeremy?
You can find me on Facebook at Jeremy Miller and on Blue Sky at Alliance Jeremy.
How about you, Dave?
You can find me at Dave Scooby over on Instagram, X, and Blue Sky every once in a while.
Just to see if J. Cal's still watching, you can find us on at the Alliance blog at Pornhub.com. Possibly True Social. Maybe that's next week. I don't know. Join us every Thursday, won't you? 3 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific at the Alliance guys. For the Alliance guys podcast at J. Cal, DKM, and Jaden. And every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific is the pre-party with the boss who's going to fire me if I keep doing this, I'm sure. Thank you all. We've done the outro clip already, so I'm just going to end the stream in shame and personal degradation. We'll see you guys at the matches! Did it go? No, it didn't go.